Well, just decided for a moment I'd get on here and just let y'all know as far as how things have been going this holiday season. Do want to tell you all a little bit about how it's been with how I've had to kind of get away from my videos for a while. Haven't been recording any lately, and because it's just kind of been a real busy week, and especially over these past 2 weeks, it has been because there was like one weekend that my niece was here and stayed for several more days. And last week we had Thanksgiving, and there was a little bit of more work I had to do around the house and in the basement to try to clean things up the way that my job and my shows had kind of gotten me away from that a while. And it kind of happened over this week. My sister came to visit with us, so it was just a little bit hard to kind of keep things in order, keep things together. So much was going on, and I've had a lot of shows to do and a lot of good things happening at these shows, and was blessed to make some of the sales I've made in these places. So that is kind of among the reasons I sort of come on here, just to tell you all little things about how it is and why I've kind of been away from doing it for a while. I will probably plan that in the future year, the future season, I might be able to record a few more, but I mean, these shows have gone great. I mean, I went to one a couple Saturdays ago in Georgetown, and there was and it was a pretty crowded one, and the hallways were crowded. It was taking up practically the entire school building, so it was just kind of busy in there, hard to really get around and get back to your booth. And luckily, I sold a few things and went to a Catholic school last weekend where I sold good, and I'd say a few items for good sales, and had a little girl to help me load things from my car and up to my booth, and had her help me unload the booth and carry it all to my car. Had her help me set up a little bit. It was just all so good. And I tell you, may have made it take a little longer, but I just couldn't turn her down. I just couldn't turn down the offer because it was so sweet of her to want to do it that I just had to let her do it. And it kind of did me a little good because it took a little strain off of me. Just kind of made it a little better. And just as for how it went yesterday, there was this winery in Nicholasville where they were having a Christmas in the Country crafts fair, and I think they've kind of had that most years, and luckily I got to do that this year. It was kind of always been an event where they had the same vendors come back and had a spot open for me because one vendor, for emergency reasons, wasn't able to make it. So we kind of worked that out, made good sales there, marked down some of my items, sold quite a few new items there, and it was all so good, just the way it all worked out. It might even be a little time when I could be taking little breaks from some of my projects right now because I'm kind of getting away from some of the things I've dealt with, and with all that I've had to be super busy with. We've had a few things to take care of, and luckily all those needle packs that were donated to me, I had 19 donated to me, and since then I'm down to just 4 that are left to sell. Been selling them a quarter a piece. Somebody donated them to me back in like last winter or the spring or something like that, and they were too small for me to work with to do the kind of sewing that I do, and they were like very vintage, like even before the time I was born, like when my mom was a little kid maybe. and some people who were from that time, they saw those at my booths and saw they were really neat. They were like, I hadn't seen anything like that in a long time. And I said, well, until those were donated to me, I'd never seen anything like them in my life. They said to me, but you're not that old. So it's been good to kind of get some items sold, and sometimes for me, just getting things out of my inventory does me a little good as well. I'd like to tell you all about a bunch of like wood carved spirits that I made, and I've had them for years. And back in the days when I used to make things just for gifts, I made a lot of those. And sometimes I'd say with crafts like that, it's things I made just for fun that now that I'm into business are not as likely to be sold. And that was why I decided to donate them to Military Missions that is down the street. And they decided to take those and said that they could sell them for raffles at some of their big events and make some money to be able to ship the gift boxes to the soldiers overseas, because they live in places where it's really hard for them to get some of the things that are sent to them in boxes, and the boxes are like flat rate, so can't send anything too heavy like a wood carving or anything like that. But I will say that I've been extra busy with my work, extra busy doing things, and there have been quite a few items I've had, and quite a few I can't wait to get out, quite a few I feel like I can't wait to get sold, see who wants them, see who needs them. And I'd say, so much stuff can go out to the right people. I've already, I'd say, as of this season, sold 4 of my emoji pillows. Sometime or another I'll do a video where I'll demonstrate how I stuff those and sew those, but it is kind of a busy, hard time to do it right now, and so it'll be something I'll have to get around to doing when I can. There's just a few items I've been marking down my prices on, and there's been quite a few for which you could say I've been pricing them in ways to offer deals on them to try to get a little more of them sold out to people. So we know that's how that's going to work. Quite a few creatures and items I can't wait to get out, and maybe have a few friends with children for whom they might be able to be good gifts this year. And I'm really going to be looking forward to that. Just really seeing how that's going to come out. And there's some new creatures I've made, and I've made my new and I've also kind of done a little online project for something I haven't ordered yet, but these tags that say little Gwynny pets on them to go on my little stuffed animals, because they're going to be named after my niece. That's her name, so that's what we're going to call them. And I think it's just going to be a blessed year in the year ahead, because I've spent more on expensive than I've made in sales, and I'm thinking that's all going to come in a little good, trying to get enough sold these last few seasons to try to balance out my sales. That's going to be the best I'll be able to do, but when we all come down to it, we will have special little projects in our hands from little things that I've made, and it's all going to be interesting to get online and see and to show you in videos. Some things have been mislaid in all the rubble. Some things have gotten other things piled on top of them. Got some cleaning up to do over the next few weeks for the holiday season. And we'll definitely be doing it after school gets out for the winter break, because over that time I won't be working. So it's going to give me some extra days to try to catch up with the work where needed, and it's just going to make it all come out good, better, just as much as it, like I say, needs to be. So I've already sawn off some logs and gotten them ready to go out in the pile as firewood because they're just getting to the point where I've had them so many years, never been able to use them, and don't think I ever will. So it was just time to get them out of the shop and have more room for things in the shop that I do need, things that I can use, things that I can work with. So that's just how it's all coming along right now. Probably got little things to show in scraps. One thing I'd like to show is how I have several of these little scraps that were left over from when I was cutting out little bloodhounds from the babinga wood. And you see there's this one here that I've drawn this face on, and like I have on several of them, and on this one I carved the face out and it came out to look like a little Christmas tree shape. Probably got a few more scraps in this one to show as well, and probably showed you the video where I demonstrated how I drew the lines on these little owl blanks. Sometime I hope to have a video where I show you how I carved those. I've already done online some little ones that are like for little rabbits and bunnies, but I've also got other scraps that have come out in this shape where I could draw the same lines on them to make them like some bunnies and rabbits of a different shape. There's little things in here we've got, like, I'd say, for example, these are kind of similar to some blanks you've seen for guinea pigs. And speaking of that, I sold both of my cedar guinea pigs today. Might eventually carve some more out of these two scraps since they're about the same shape as the ones with which I did it before. And like probably got a couple others over here that are quite similar in ways that I'm going to be doing quite the same thing with. So that's how it's going to be working out in the long run, taking care of these little things, I say. And oh, the work that comes out of it is all going to be to the best of us. And I'll mention last of all that there's little things here we do, and I'd say that it's kind of like how I get these little stands of Kentucky coffee tree that were left over from my scraps, and after cutting out several little blanks out of mahogany for certain things, there were other things I came out with leftover shapes for, and some of them ended up being more for medieval horses and things. But as far as this came out a good shape for a chickadee, and this little chickadee is going to be sitting on this little block here. Sometime or another I'll show you how what I have over in my shop is some little scraps where I've taken some pieces of mahogany and put them against some pieces of walnut and vice versa to make what's going to be carved into little beavers that will be up there on that log. And speaking of that, of all the last beavers that I made out of the sapelli and the walnut, I've sold both of my sapelli ones and one of the walnut ones in the past, but sold the last one yesterday, the walnut one I had left. That was a blessing because it's good to see that people are getting my work, that they're seeing it, that they're sharing it, that they're loving it. So I'd say it's going to be the kind of work that's going to come quite a ways to us, and we're going to see a little light shine out of all we're doing, just to say that it's just the good in us that we see in us. And I do want to say, if I don't get on here again before the holidays, I want to wish you best of all a happy holidays. Goodbye.